Guys, welcome to a very cold allotment today. It was -4 last night. We've got a winter special for you today, so we'll go through some jobs that need tackling in January, and as always, I'll keep you busy. And there's nothing like a big steaming pile of horse manure in the morning, even on a frosty day. Like gold. Oh, it's a good day. Wow. Well, the sun's out like this absolutely glorious day. We're finishing off putting the well-rotted manure onto the beds, and this will get us ready for the new growing season. Right, and while we're on the subject of manure, it's always good to stockpile some. So if you have any manure that's not quite ready, so very fresh, put it in big bags or bins or whatever you've got, and just let it rot down, and then it's there on hand later on in the season. So if you can, great to put it on your beds, but it's also better to stockpile some for later in the season when you need it. If you have pure gold like I have here, it's very black and very well rotten, then I am going to try and stockpile as much as humanly possible. It is a fair walk up to the horse field and back, so it takes time, and time well spent, I think, in this case. If I don't do it now, then the lady and the horses, she's just going to cover it over with fresh stuff, and then we've got to dig away to the good stuff. So if you can, stockpile your manure, and it'll serve you 10 times fold in nutrients later on in the year when you really need it. Now, another thing that's absolutely loving these very cold days is the garlic. The garlic needs the freezing cold, a really good long cold spell, to get them bulbs separated and get them to swell. So, good day for me, good day for the garlic. Right, so January is that perfect time to go through your seed packets, see what you've got, see what's out of date, and most importantly, see what you need to order in time for the season that's coming. Now, here we'll show you month by month sowing guides so you can follow along, but it's always good to have an idea of what you want to sow. And if you do sow something that's a little bit exotic and always sells out very quickly, then get your orders in sooner rather than later. Like if you like a specialist type of tomato, for instance, these will sell out completely by March. So put your order in sort of now into mid-February to make sure that you've got what you want, and then we're good to go. So first of all, we need to clear the area around the bushes. So I've de-weeded and I've put a mulch of wood chippings down. So here's an area I've done already, and this is what it looks like when you leave it for a while. An absolute disaster. So that's coming up shortly, but let's focus on this one, and we'll prune this because it's getting far too old and far too woody. So let's go ahead and do that now. Right, so here we go. We want to start by cutting out anything that's crossing in the way or dead. So we want airflow through here, so have a good look. Want to keep the newer growth if we can, get rid of the old. Put this on. If it's too old like this, it will just break off. So that's an old one. Old. Crossing. Dead. Okay, so that clears up the base. Looks really nice now. Loads of airflow through here, and we've got nothing that's going to overhang and get water damage. So now we want to prune the top, and we'll prune it pretty hard. So I don't want this, because it's a very old bush. I can be very, very brutal. I'm going to cut it right back. And you see these two are touching. I want to get rid of this one. And this time of year is great because it's just coming into bud, so we don't want to leave it any longer really. And I would say that's just about enough for this bush, and that's how I'll do the rest behind me. As you can see, these need weeding first and then cutting right back, so there's a job for later. Time of year is always great as well to just look after your equipment, so sharpen any secateurs you have, and I just use a sharpening stone and just lightly go over the blade. So that's all that side I'll need. Give them a clean and they're good for another season. And whilst we're doing our soft fruits, these are autumn fruiting raspberries. Now, as you can see, there's loads of weeds at the bottom, and we're not going to cut these back just yet. We want to clear the weeds and put a mulch down first. So let's start. And we've got straight away some bramble. Loads of grasses growing through. So once this is all clear, this will be a job for February, mid-February, and then we can cut these back, but we want to be able to get in there first. So weeds are out, tidy the area up, and then we're good to go. So that's all the surface weeding done. The ground is still frozen. It went down to -5 last night. So tidied up all the sort of loose dead grass, and once the ground thaws, I'll get in there and get the remainder of the roots out and then put a mulch on. So we've got all the manure over the beds now, and they're looking really good. There are a few that are still in use. The onions and the garlic and the kale. But other than that, the manure is all down, ready for the new season. Got the leeks and the low tunnel and the strawberry bed. Next on the list of things to do is to move the rosemary bush. Just getting out of hand now, it doesn't need to be there, so I'm going to put it into the corner of the plot, but today the ground is frozen, so that's a job for later. Now these are the frames for the sugar snap peas, and these will go in once I sow them. And again, we have another frame over there, which is great for sugar snap because you can just pick it from the wood chip side, so they don't need to be walking on the soil. Here on this channel, we're going to give you month by month sowing guides as well, to show you what I'm doing and to hopefully give you a guide onto the season and to give everyone the best chance of a fantastic crop next year. The weather, of course, it'll throw curveballs at us, and we'll just have to deal with it as we go, but that's a fun part of gardening. And here's to a bright and very full harvest next year. So we want to put the panel where it's going to be in full sun, so I've already put a very secure batten onto the side of the shed, and that goes into the joist. Feed a cable through. Make sure she's nice and level. And because the batten is the same size as the panel, it's very easy to screw into when I find the hole. There she goes. Okay, so we're inside the shed, and as you can see, the power has come through the wall, and I've attached a tray to the wall. It's a Victoria biscuit tin, and I'll explain why. It's simply because if there's any electrical faults within the shed or within this device, it's going to hopefully keep it contained within the metal bit and outside away from my wood. So that's why I've done it that way. I'll put a bar across which I'll attach this to, and this is the inverter. So it's got the USBs to charge the phone up. The battery is already connected, so I'll put those two in, and it basically goes down on a cable into a battery when I finally find one. I'll have it on test at home with a battery, but I haven't brought that battery up. So all I need to do now is attach the solar panel to the positive and the negative. It's a very dull day today, so it's not going to kick out a lot of charge. Let's get that done now and pop her on the wall. Here we go, all wired in, and I've just popped it onto the wooden bar in the middle of the metal frame, and as you can see, it'll just prevent any overheating for one. There is a nice big inch air gap at the back, and if it does catch fire, hopefully it'll be contained within the metal box, and that's it. It's all up and running. So as you can see, the load producing 13.6 volts. It's a 30-watt solar panel, so it should give me just enough to charge my phone, which is all I want it for. So nice little job. You can connect the battery up, like I said, if we want lights in the evening, but I don't really garden at night. We'll see how we go with the shed build, but that's it for now. Solar is done. And let's take a look at the carrots I sown way back in, I believe it was November or December. And these are coming through. They are growing very, very slow, incredibly slow, in fact. The Asian greens are to the side. The one to both sides is Amsterdam and Charisma in the middle. And as you can see, most have germinated. And they're coming through very, very slowly. But I haven't watered them, only a couple of times, probably once. The ground is still moist and there's very little in the way of weeds. So I'm not going to water them again. Just going to let them carry on and do their thing. And as for the carrots in the container, well, this has been completely mullered. A slug or a snail must have got in and pretty much ate the lot. So I'm going to re-sow these in a couple of days' time. Great job for this time of year. Put the wood chip down. Get it all nice and even. And that path will see you right. Guys, as always, thank you very much for watching. Please, if you haven't already, think about looking around the channel pages and subscribing. I'm sure there's something you're going to love or something you've missed. Have a look and we'll catch you next time.